In 1988, Home and Away turned unknown actors into Summer Bay legends. But in 2026, the truth behind their lives is more shocking than fiction ever wrote. Who survived fame and who disappeared? Sharon Hodgson, born on August 25, 1968, entered Home and Away in 1988 as Carly Morris, one of the earliest characters to reveal how emotionally raw Summer Bay was willing to become. Carly was never written as a stereotypical rebellious teenager. Instead, she carried the psychological scars of instability, abandonment, and emotional distrust, making her one of the most layered young characters in the show's formative years. Hodgson approached the role with remarkable restraint. Rather than portraying Carly as explosive or openly confrontational, she made the character feel fragile beneath the surface, as though every interaction carried the possibility of emotional collapse. That inward tension gave Carly unusual realism and separated her from many television teens of the late 1980s. One of the era's boldest storylines involved Carly's identical twin, Samantha, a narrative twist that deepened the show's fascination with identity trauma and the idea that environment shapes personality just as much as biology. The storyline allowed Hodgson to explore duality in a way rarely attempted in Australian serial drama at the time. Off-screen, she was still extremely young herself, suddenly dealing with public recognition while trying to navigate adulthood beyond television. Unlike many rising stars who chased greater exposure, Hodgson gradually stepped away from full-time acting during the early 1990s. That distance from celebrity culture ultimately preserved the mystique surrounding her role. By 2026, Sharon Hodgson is remembered less for constant media visibility and more for the emotional legacy she left behind. Carly Morris remains one of the defining emotional foundations of early Home and Away. A character who embodied vulnerability, instability, tenderness, and the painful search for belonging. For longtime viewers, Carly helped establish the emotional language that would define Summer Bay for decades to come. Alex Papps, born on February 11, 1969, became one of the first breakout stars of Home and Away when he appeared in 1988 as Frank Morgan, a foster teenager whose emotional instability helped define the tone of the series during its earliest years. Frank was never written as a polished television hero. He arrived in Summer Bay carrying anger, insecurity, and the lingering effects of abandonment, making him feel unpredictable, even in quiet moments. Papps brought a restless physical energy to the role, giving the impression that Frank was always prepared to walk away before someone else could reject him first. That emotional defensiveness became one of the defining characteristics of the character and helped audiences connect deeply with his vulnerability. Frank's famous mullet hairstyle eventually became one of the most recognizable visual symbols of late 1980s Australian television, but the character himself represented something more serious beneath the surface. Frank constantly searched for belonging while resisting the very stability he desired. His romances, family conflicts, and struggles with trust created some of the show's earliest emotionally grounded storylines. Rather than transforming Frank into a completely healed or idealized figure, the writers allowed him to remain unfinished, which made him feel unusually authentic for a soap opera character of the era. Papps understood that complexity and avoided playing Frank with excessive sentimentality. Outside the series, Alex Papps refused to remain trapped by his early fame. He moved into children's television theater, writing, and presenting, deliberately reshaping his career instead of repeating old success. By 2026, however, Frank Morgan still remains one of the defining emotional symbols of early Home and Away, a young man searching for permanence while quietly fearing he would never truly find it. Roger Oakley, born on August 21, 1943, entered Home and Away as Tom Fletcher, the original father figure whose quiet resilience established the emotional structure of the series. During the show's earliest years, Summer Bay often felt uncertain, fragile, and emotionally unsettled, but Tom Fletcher gave the community a sense of stability that grounded everything around him. He was not written as a dramatic patriarch or larger-than-life authority figure. Instead, Tom was portrayed as an ordinary man trying to rebuild his family after emotional hardship and financial struggle. Moving to the coast represented survival rather than escape, and Oakley understood that emotional realism with remarkable precision. Unlike many television fathers of the late 1980s, Tom rarely dominated scenes through anger or speeches. Oakley played him with restraint, allowing patience, exhaustion, and quiet responsibility to shape the character's presence. His silences often carried more emotional meaning than dialogue. That understated acting style gave the Fletcher family a believable emotional foundation and helped audiences view Summer Bay as a real community rather than simply a television setting. Oakley's background in international theater also brought maturity and discipline to the role, making Tom feel grounded, even during emotionally heightened storylines. Tom Fletcher's importance extended beyond individual plots. He became the blueprint for nearly every parental figure who followed in the show's long history. The emotional philosophy of Home and Away, that family stability and care mattered more than spectacle, was largely built through Tom's presence. Even after Oakley left the series, the character's influence remained deeply embedded in the show's identity. By 2026, Tom Fletcher is remembered as one of the foundational pillars of Summer Bay and the emotional architect of its earliest years. Ray Maher, born on July 4, 1944, joined Home and Away in 1988 as Alf Stewart, a character who would eventually become one of the most recognizable figures in Australian television history. Alf was never introduced as refined or glamorous. He was written as blunt, practical, fiercely loyal, and emotionally direct. A man shaped by hard work, instinctive morality, and deep attachment to his community. In the show's earliest episodes, Alf often acted as a source of conflict, challenging younger characters through common sense and emotional honesty rather than ideology. Yet beneath his roughness was a deeply protective nature that audiences quickly embraced. What made Ray Mager's portrayal extraordinary was consistency. Rather than reinventing Alf across the decades, he allowed the world around the character to evolve, while Alf himself remained emotionally grounded. That stability gave Home and Away continuity through changing generations, cast departures, and shifts in television culture. Alf's voice timbre, humor, and unmistakable rhythm gradually became cultural shorthand for a distinctly Australian archetype: stubborn, hardworking, loyal, and emotionally sincere, even when struggling to express vulnerability. Behind the scenes, Maher's longevity became historic. What began as a supporting role slowly transformed into one of the longest-running continuous performances in serialized television. Entire generations of viewers experienced Summer Bay through Alf Stewart's presence, making him feel less like a fictional character and more like a permanent resident audiences returned to year after year. By 2026, Alf Stewart represents far more than a soap opera character. He has become part of Australian television identity itself. Ray Maher's performance turned a fisherman and local businessman into a cultural institution whose emotional reliability carried the series across decades. Alf endured not because he constantly changed, but because he represented permanence in a world that never stopped changing. Judy Nunn, born on April 13, 1945, brought emotional intelligence and quiet strength to Home and Away. Through her portrayal of Ailsa Stewart, one of the series' most emotionally layered early characters, Ailsa was far more than the warm woman serving meals behind the diner counter. She represented resilience, shaped by suffering compassion built through survival and the hidden emotional scars carried beneath ordinary daily life. While many maternal television characters of the late 1980s were written as comforting stereotypes, Ailsa possessed unusual psychological depth that made her feel unpredictable and deeply human. One of the show's boldest creative decisions involved revealing Ailsa's traumatic past connected to violence, self-defense, and imprisonment. The storyline challenged audience expectations and transformed her into a far more emotionally complex figure than viewers initially imagined. Judy Nunn handled those revelations with remarkable restraint. refusing to portray Ailsa either as a helpless victim or a flawless moral authority. Instead, she allowed contradiction to exist naturally within the character. Elsa could be nurturing, yet guarded compassionate, yet emotionally haunted strong, while still carrying visible vulnerability from her past experiences. That emotional duality gave Home and Away a maturity uncommon in family-oriented television drama at the time. Outside the series, Nunn successfully expanded her career into literature, becoming a respected novelist with a strong understanding of serialized storytelling and emotional continuity. Her transition into writing reflected the same narrative instincts that shaped her acting work. By 2026, Ailsa Stewart remains one of the clearest examples of Home and Away at its most emotionally ambitious. Judy Nunn helped prove the series was built not only on romance and coastal scenery, but also on deeply human characters carrying hidden pain, resilience, and emotional complexity beneath everyday life. Kate Ritchie, born on August 14, 1978, became one of the most emotionally significant faces in Home and Away when she joined the series in 1988 as Sally Fletcher, the youngest foster child of the Fletcher family. Sally was introduced as an innocent little girl trying to understand a world already full of pain, abandonment, and uncertainty. But what made her story extraordinary was that audiences did not simply watch Sally grow up. They grew older alongside her. Over 2 decades, Sally evolved from a frightened child into the emotional conscience of Summer Bay itself. The writers repeatedly placed her at the center of the show's deepest emotional traumas, including loss, heartbreak, violence, and psychological recovery, turning her into a living symbol of resilience. Ritchie carried those storylines with a realism that became increasingly rare in soap operas, where characters often reset emotionally after dramatic events. Sally never truly reset. She accumulated experience, and viewers could feel it. That long-term emotional continuity is what transformed her into one of Australian television's most beloved characters. Off-screen, Ritchie experienced the strange reality of maturing under public observation, where every stage of adulthood unfolded in front of millions. By 2026, she remains a respected radio host, author, and television personality. But for longtime fans, Sally Fletcher still represents something more personal. The child of Summer Bay, who endured enough pain to become its emotional soul. Her journey quietly reminded viewers that growing up does not mean escaping hardship. It means learning how to survive it without losing kindness. Norman Coburn, born March 6, 1937, entered Home and Away as Donald Fisher, the strict Summer Bay High principal, whose intimidating presence quickly earned him the nickname Flathead among rebellious students. At first glance, Donald appeared to be the classic authoritarian figure designed to create conflict for younger characters. But what made the role memorable was the gradual revelation that his harshness came less from cruelty than exhaustion. Fisher had spent years trying to impose structure on lives already shaped by chaos, and Coburn played him not as a villain, but as a man carrying the burden of responsibility with increasing emotional fatigue. Before joining the show, Coburn had largely stepped away from acting and even pursued business ventures, including running a vineyard in England. That life experience gave his performance unusual authenticity. He understood authority not as performance, but as accumulated disappointment mixed with reluctant compassion. Over time, Donald evolved into one of the series' most unexpectedly human characters, forming deep bonds with students he once disciplined. In many ways, he represented one of the core themes of Home and Away. People who appear emotionally rigid are often protecting wounds they do not know how to express. By 2026, Coburn is retired from acting and lives privately, but Donald Fisher's legacy remains deeply woven into the identity of early Summer Bay. He was the adult who demanded discipline in a town full of emotional instability, reminding viewers that guidance is sometimes mistaken for coldness until much later in life. Vanessa Downing, born May 5, 1958, stepped into Home and Away in 1988 as the original Pippa Fletcher, the nurturing foster mother who became one of the emotional foundations of the series. Pippa was not written as glamorous or dramatic in the traditional television sense. Her strength came from constancy. She represented the rare adult figure who chose compassion repeatedly, even when emotionally exhausted by the endless struggles of the children entering her home. In a television era increasingly drawn toward heightened melodrama, Pippa embodied something quieter and far more difficult to portray: convincingly emotional reliability. Downing brought warmth and intelligence to the role, allowing viewers to believe that frightened teenagers would genuinely trust this woman with their lives. Her casting itself carried an unusual story, as she was reportedly discovered while performing musically, rather than emerging through conventional television fame pathways. That unexpected transition mirrored one of the show's larger themes, that family is often built through unlikely circumstances rather than destiny. When Downing eventually departed the role, audiences felt the emotional shift immediately because Pippa had functioned as the moral center of the Fletcher household. Off-screen, Downing later pursued an entirely different career in law, proving that reinvention is possible even after public fame. By 2026, her life stands as a reminder that identity does not need to remain fixed to one chapter. Yet within television history, her portrayal of Pippa Fletcher still carries extraordinary emotional weight. She was the kind of television mother many viewers wished existed in real life: patient, protective, and willing to love damaged people until they believed they deserved it. Nicole Dixon, born January 29, 1969, exploded into Home and Away as Bobby Simpson, one of the most emotionally volatile and unforgettable characters of the show's early years. Bobby was not designed to make viewers comfortable. She arrived carrying anger, distrust, and emotional unpredictability that immediately disrupted the softer emotional rhythms of Summer Bay. But beneath her rebellious exterior lived one of the series' deepest recurring themes: the desperate fear of abandonment. Dixon's performance gave Bobby a dangerous emotional honesty. She spoke impulsively, reacted fiercely, and often sabotaged relationships before others could hurt her first. Unlike many soap opera rebels who existed mainly for shock value, Bobby felt psychologically grounded, which is why audiences connected so intensely with her. Her storylines explored loneliness, identity, love, and emotional insecurity with a level of sincerity unusual for serialized television at the time. Off-screen, Dixon had only recently entered adulthood herself when she won the role shortly before filming began, meaning she was navigating personal transition at the same time her character was doing the same on-screen. That overlap between actor and role created an authenticity viewers instinctively recognized. Bobby eventually became one of Summer Bay's defining icons because she represented something many people secretly understood. Sometimes the loudest anger comes from the deepest emotional fear. By 2026, Dixon has lived largely outside the entertainment spotlight, focusing on private family life. But Bobby Simpson still survives vividly in television memory as the girl who fought the world because she feared the world would stop loving her first. Adam Willits, born February 18, 1972, joined Home and Away as Stephen Matheson, a quiet foster teenager whose emotional journey unfolded far more subtly than many of the show's louder personalities. Stephen was initially portrayed as shy, intelligent, and socially uncertain, often fading into the background beside stronger characters. But that restraint became the foundation of his growth. In many ways, Stephen represented the ordinary teenager hidden within a town full of emotional extremes, the young person struggling not with explosive rebellion, but with insecurity, loneliness, and the fear of never truly belonging anywhere. Willits won the role after competing against hundreds of young actors, and his naturalistic performance helped ground the show's increasingly dramatic storylines. As Stephen matured, viewers watched him slowly gain confidence, eventually evolving into a teacher and mentor figure himself. That transformation carried one of the series' quietest but most meaningful messages. Healing is rarely sudden. It happens gradually through patience, community, and the repeated experience of being accepted. Unlike characters whose arcs were driven by constant crisis, Steven's story was about emotional accumulation, the slow construction of self-worth over time. Off-screen, Willits later stepped away from acting and pursued work outside the entertainment industry, choosing stability over celebrity. By 2026, he remains connected to longtime fans who still remember Steven's journey from withdrawn teenager to respected adult. His character may not have been the loudest voice in Summer Bay, but he reflected one of the show's deepest truths, that sometimes the people who struggle quietly are fighting the hardest battles of all. And after all these years, the real magic of Home and Away was never just the drama of Summer Bay. It was the way these characters grew older alongside us, carrying our memories, fears, heartbreaks, and hopes through every decade. Their journeys reminded viewers that family is not always perfect, healing is never simple, and time changes everyone in ways we never expect. If this trip back to Summer Bay touched your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more unforgettable classic cast stories and television legends from the past.